Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Logan's Voice. I'm Doug Ballinger, Logan's dad. When my son Logan died, I didn't just lose my child, I lost the future he should have had. And in the aftermath, when the condolences faded and the whispers began, I kept hearing the same cruel, ignorant thing. Well, he chose to use drugs. As if that simple sentence could explain away the complexity of what really happened, as if it could somehow make sense of a world where poison is disguised as medicine and handed out like candy. Here's the truth: Logan didn't choose to die. He didn't know the substance he took was laced with fentanyl and xylazine, toxins so potent that just a few grains could kill a grown adult. He didn't make reckless choice to die young. He was poisoned. And if someone had slipped cyanide into your drink at a bar and you died because of it, would anyone stand over your coffin and say, well, they chose to drink? No. We would call it what it is: murder. So why are we treating fentanyl poisoning any differently? Why are we still clinging to outdated, judgmental ideas that let the real killers walk free while grieving families are left holding the pieces? Today, I'm here to set the record straight, to pull back the curtain on the deadly lies we keep telling ourselves, lies that are killing our kids and killing any real chance we have to fight this crisis. This episode isn't about being polite. It's not about sparing feelings. It's about saving lives. Because if we don't start telling the truth, if we don't start calling this what it really is, more families will bury their children, more futures will be stolen, and more dreams will die before they even have a chance to live. And I refuse to be silent about it any longer. If there is one lie that has caused more suffering, more silence, and more preventable deaths than almost any other, it's the idea that addiction is simply a choice. That people who struggle with substance use are just weak. They are reckless. That they deserve whatever happens next. That lie is just wrong, and it's deadly. Addiction is not about bad morals. It's about biology. It's about trauma. It's about brain chemistry being altered in ways most people don't even understand. When a person uses drugs repeatedly, it physically changes their brain. It rewires the parts of the brain that control judgment, decision making, impulse control, and emotional regulation. The brain becomes trapped in a survival loop where the drug becomes necessary just to feel normal. Not to get high, not to party, not to rebel, but simply to function without unbearable pain. Think about that for a second. Imagine waking up every day with a craving so intense it drowns out everything else: your dreams, your goals, even the people you love. And then imagine that being told it's just a choice you're making, that your suffering is your own fault. If addiction was just a matter of willpower, if it was just a matter of making better choices, then treatment would work the first time for everyone. But it doesn't. Because addiction, like other chronic diseases, like diabetes, like heart disease, often involves relapse before recovery sticks. Relapse isn't a failure of character, it's part of the illness. And yet, when someone with substance use disorder stumbles, we don't offer them more care, we offer them shame. The stigma that addiction is a choice is not harmless. It keeps people from asking for help because they're afraid of being judged. It isolates families, makes them suffer in silence, makes them hesitate to speak out, even after the worst happens. And worst of all, it teaches society that the people dying every 5 minutes from fentanyl poisoning somehow deserve it. And that kind of thinking cost us lives. Here's the truth: no one chooses to become addicted. No one chooses to die. They are human beings, people like Logan, who had dreams and struggles and hopes and battles and will never fully understand. They deserve help. They deserved compassion. They deserved a fighting chance. And when we finally face the truth about addiction, we can move on to even harsher reality. Most of the people dying today aren't even knowingly taking fentanyl. They're being poisoned by deception, by greed, by evil. And we need to start calling it what it is. We need to get something straight, something that's not just a technicality, but a matter of life and death. Most fentanyl deaths aren't true overdoses in the traditional sense. They are poisonings. There's a huge difference, and that difference matters. A traditional overdose happens when someone knowingly takes too much of a substance they understand. Too much alcohol, too much heroin, too much prescription medication. It's tragic, but it's consequences of known risk. But what's happening now isn't that simple. People are dying because they're being lied to. They're being tricked. They're being poisoned. They think they're taking a Percocet or they think they're taking a Xanax or an Adderall. But what they're really taking is a counterfeit pill made to look exactly like the real thing, pressed in dirty labs with no regulation, no testing, and no regard for human life. And inside that pill, fentanyl. Deadly, unpredictable, often mixed with other poisons like xylazine or methamphetamine, a cocktail of death. Let me make this crystal clear. When you buy what you believe is a safe prescription pill and it's secretly packed with fentanyl, you didn't overdose, you were poisoned. You didn't make a bad choice, you didn't bring it on yourself, you were deceived. And you died because of someone else's greed and cruelty. It's no different than someone handing you a glass of water laced with cyanide. And when that happens, we call it what it is: murder. The danger isn't limited to people struggling with addiction, it's reaching everyone. Teenagers experimenting for the first time, college students thinking they're buying a study drug, working parents managing stress, veterans coping with pain. Fentanyl doesn't care who you are, it doesn't care if it's your first time or your thousandth time. It only takes one mistake, one pill, one moment of trust, and you're gone. Remember, when you buy what you think is Xanax or Percocet and it's laced with fentanyl, that's not an overdose. That's being poisoned by deception. And it's happening thousands of times every single week in this country. And still we're not screaming loud enough about it. And that brings us to the people making this happen. The ones who know exactly what they're selling. The ones who don't care if they kill you. It's time to call them what they are: death dealers. It's time to stop sugarcoating who's responsible for so much of the death we're seeing. It's not just the drugs that are killing people, it's the dealers, the manufacturers, the traffickers, and the local distributors. The people who know exactly what's in the poison they're selling and push it anyway for profit. When you sell a substance that can kill with just a few grains, and you do it knowingly that death is not just possible but likely, you're not a drug dealer. You're a death dealer. These aren't mistakes. These aren't oops moments. This isn't kids selling weed on the street corner anymore. This is an international pipeline of mass death. Fentanyl is being pressed into fake pills by the millions. It's being distributed in every town, every school, and every community, intentionally, aggressively, and carelessly. And the people at every level of that pipeline know how lethal it is. They know one fake pill could kill someone. They know a gram of their product could wipe out an entire neighborhood. They just don't care because death is good for business. When one user dies, it creates panic among their circle, and that panic often leads to more desperate use, more sales, and more death. Some states have started fighting back with what's called a death by delivery law. These laws allow prosecutors to charge a dealer with homicide when the drugs they sold result in death. And that's exactly what should happen. When you knowingly hand someone a counterfeit pill laced with poison, when you sell heroin or cocaine that's been cut with fentanyl, you are handing them a loaded gun without telling them it's cocked and ready to fire. You should be held accountable for the outcome. When Logan died, the person who handed him that poison drug walked away without so much as a slap on the wrist. No charges, no consequences, no accountability. Meanwhile, I buried my son. I light candles when I should be celebrating milestones. I look at the box in my china cabinet when I should be visiting his home. Logan got a death sentence. The dealer got freedom. And that's happening every day across this country. Thousands of families, thousands of stolen futures, thousands of broken hearts. While the people pushing poison keep cashing in. It's time to stop accepting this. It's time to stop pretending it's complicated. It's time to call it what it is, murder by poison. And it's time to demand justice for Logan and for every life cut short. When people hear about fentanyl deaths, it's easy for them to create distance, to think that would never happen to my family. My kid would never touch drugs. That's something that happens to other people, or bad kids, bad families, bad choices. Let me tell you something. That distance you feel, it's a lie too. It's a dangerous illusion. Fentanyl doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care if you're an honor roll student, if you go to church every Sunday, if you come from a good family, if you have a future planned out with bright dreams and big hopes. It only takes one counterfeit pill, one fake Xanax to deal with the finals, one fake Percocet after a football injury, one bad moment where someone is vulnerable and trusts the wrong source, one moment, one mistake, one lie they didn't even know they were believing. And suddenly, it's your child, your phone call in the middle of the night, your emergency room, your funeral plan, your life shattered beyond recognition. Fentanyl poisoning doesn't happen over there. It happens right here in our schools, in our neighborhoods, and in our families. And until we stop thinking we're immune, until we stop pretending it's someone else's problem, until we face the fact that this can happen to anyone, we will keep losing more of our kids. So when you hear another story, another obituary, another life lost too soon, don't turn away. Don't assume it was just bad choices. Look closer. It could just as easily be your child's face looking back at you. This isn't their problem. This is all of our problem. It's time to tell the truth. Blame the user, blame the parents, blame the choices. It's easier that way, isn't it? It's easier than focusing on the real truth. That we have a poisoned drug supply, that our children are being hunted by greed, that even the smartest, brightest, most loved kids can make one wrong move and never come home again. It's easier to believe the lie that addiction is a choice. It's easier to dismiss fentanyl deaths as overdoses and not poisonings. Because if we admit the truth, then we have to admit it could happen to us, to our families, to our communities. It happened to me. But here's the thing. The truth doesn't care if it's uncomfortable. The truth is still the truth. Addiction is a disease, not a choice. Fentanyl deaths aren't accidental overdoses. They're poisonings. And the people dealing this poison, They aren't harmless hustlers. They are death dealers. And they need to be treated like the predators they are. I lost Logan because someone lied, because someone sold him death in disguise, because our society still thinks stigma is more important than survival. And I will never, ever stop speaking the truth about what happened to him and to so many others just like him. If you're listening to this and you feel that fire rising in your chest, good. Use it. Get educated. Get loud. Support death by delivery laws. Push for stronger fentanyl trafficking penalties. Teach your kids that one pill can kill. Demand better education in schools and demand justice for the lives stolen from us. And most of all, stop believing the deadly lies that keep this crisis going. You don't have to fight this battle alone. At HopeMovementCoalition.com, you can connect with others working to save lives and support grieving families. Logan's voice is my son's voice, but today it can be your voice too, because silence kills and truth saves. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for caring enough to fight back. I am Logan's voice. I am Logan's dad, and I will not be silent any longer.